Hey YouTube, this is Curator1 again. I just wanted to go over some first hands and combos that you can do with my couple decks that I've posted, the X Sabers and the Lightsworns. So I'll get started with X Sabers. I'm going to draw a couple first hands, and then if I see a good one, I'll explain some of the combos. Generally with this deck, you're going for fast summoning for synchros. It's not really an Xyz deck, and I don't recommend using Xyz cards in it too much, other than maybe number 104, cards like that that are good in different situations that you can add. But other than that, I wouldn't say use too many Xyz monsters because you're mainly trying to get out your X Saber synchros. Alright, so new format, we can only draw 5 cards on your first turn, so crappy hand. Just gonna come out and say that right away. I drew 3 Dark Soul, which actually, believe it or not, can potentially be useful. However, if you're going first, you probably don't want to have 3 of them. So you do see that I got a Reinforcement of the Army, which could help me grab Fall Troll, something like that, if I was using Full Helm Knight's effect. But I think this deck may be a little bit unshuffled from my deck profile. We'll see with the next draw. Yeah, shuffling is really important. I like to do it on the side, like this, a couple times, and then a regular quick shuffle a few times. It helps to mix it up, I find. I don't like the pile shuffle where you do 8 piles or whatever it is. I find it takes too long, and it's not really that much more effective than a regular side shuffle. Okay, so this is a pretty good hand. Trap Stun, Reinforced Truth, Ragigura, Reinforcement of the Army, and Fall Troll. So what I would do now is I would set Reinforced Truth and Fall Troll, probably activate Reinforcement of the Army, add a, let's see, what would I add? Probably Full Helm Knight. So I would add a Full Helm Knight to my hand. He's good for negating an attack, and hopefully your opponent's not going to summon anything super powerful on their first turn. So shuffle that. Then I would summon out my Full Helm Knight, and depending if I'm going first or not, if I'm going first, I would just summon Full Helm Knight. If I'm going second, I would probably summon Full Helm Knight and then attack, depending on how many face downs they had. Especially if they had a defense position, I would attack with Full Helm Knight, probably summon Dark Soul, get high and lay, destroy their back row, and then I'm set up for an attack next turn, using Fall Troll and other cards like that. So that's basically what I would do on the first turn. It's not super spectacular, but you do see that I have the Reinforced Truth and the Trap Stun, which will help me get a push through. Reinforced Truth will get me out Pashul, which will help me for another Synchro Summon. So it's not a bad hand despite its lackluster opening move. Alright, let's try one more, and then I'll move on to the Lightsworn deck. I apologize if my shuffling is slow and bad. I don't sit there for hours and practice shuffling. I mostly practice my dueling, so just a tip. Shuffling looks cool, but really, as long as you get your cards mixed up, every shuffle works. Oh, and one more thing, hand shuffling. You know, people who do this hate it, can't stand it. I don't do it ever, so you won't see me do that in any video. Some of my other curator buddies might, but I will not. So I would activate Tenki first off. Usually given the choice, I decide to go first just because I like the freedom that going first has. Even though I can only draw 5 cards, I like the freedom because I don't have to worry about traps or anything yet. And my opponent will have to worry about the traps that I get. So I would summon Boggart Knight and special summon Pashul. Set 2 face downs. One of them is at 1 with the sword, the other is Trap Stun. Assuming that I went second, I would probably Synchro Summon for high and lay to destroy their back row. If I'm going first, I would probably leave it as is, actually. Pashul will be a defender, and if they decide to take him out easily and do some damage, I can pull out at one with the sword if they have less than 800 attack, so just a thought. And like I said in a previous video, I'm not too concerned with taking damage playing my decks, because usually opponents who are whittling down my life points and not going for an OTK aren't that big of a threat, really, because I can play very quickly and special summon and then OTK them before they can whittle my life points down to 0. However, if I'm playing a Girgia Karakuri or something like that, then I will go ahead and summon defense position. I would have summoned that Pashul in defense position anyway, now that I think about it, but I'll do things like that and play more defensively against OTK decks. Alright, so now my Lightsworn deck. This deck is a bit slower, but it can still pull off some pretty interesting first turn things. If I don't draw a good hand with it, I'll show you a hand that I've gotten several times before, actually, and been successful with. This deck I'm not so particular about whether I go first or second, just because it doesn't matter quite as much. Okay, so I drew Wolf, Sakurutsu, Graganith, Solar Recharge, and Lightsworn Barrier, so not a terrible hand. So first off, I would activate Solar Recharge and discard Wolf, seeing as he's useless in my hand. Lets me draw 2, which would be those 2, and then mill 2 cards, which would be Lila and Raikou. Slightly off screen, I apologize, my stand is not that great. It's a stack of books. Next I would play these 3, which would be Lightsworn Barrier, Mirror Force, and Sakurutsu Armor face down, and then summon Lila. If I'm going second, I would probably use Lila's effect, since I have Lightsworn Barrier. If I'm going first, I would probably just leave her in attack mode. Lure my opponent into attacking with an 1800 attack, or something higher than that monster. Mirror Force them, Sakurutsu them, or worst case scenario, just activate my Lightsworn Barrier then. So that would be my first turn. I'm pretty set up. Let's see, my next draw would be Honest, MST, Monster Reincarnation, Jane. So I wouldn't draw Judgment Dragon per se for the next few turns, unless I searched and shuffled and things. But I would still be pretty well off. I have a Graganith, which would have 3,000 something attack given what's in my graveyard. Lila would be milling cards, so I wouldn't be in a terrible position. Which is the point of a Lightsworn deck, really, milling. Do one more hand. Hopefully this is under the YouTube 15-minute limit. One comment about this deck, and I mentioned it in the profile, is that Charge of the Light Brigade being banned super mega sucks, because that is pretty much the best card in the deck. Especially if you need a specific card to get Judgment Dragon out, it lets you add it. So once again, I've drawn Solar Recharge. I would probably discard Jane, because I have Lila in my hand, who has a more useful effect. So activate that, discard Jane, draw my 2 cards, Honest and another Jane, and then mill 2, Gores, and Mystical Space Typhoon over there. If I'm going first, I would summon Jane. If I'm going second, I would summon Lila. Or, if they have a big beater on the field that I want to get rid of and I can only kill with an effect, I would summon Raikou. So, really, I've got a lot of options here. I have Honest in case they attack me with something big. No traps, but that's okay because of Honest mostly. As well as Lila, able to get rid of the back row. So that's it for my first hands. The X Saber deck can do better than you saw. It usually does. Just luck of the draw, I guess. So, thanks for watching.